In 490 BC, during the Greco-Persian Wars, the powerful Persian Empire invaded Greece and landed at Marathon, a village northeast of Athens. The Athenians, vastly outnumbered, needed help. So they sent a trained distanced runner named Phidippides to Sparta, 150 miles away, to request help. The Spartans' arrival would be too late. They would be of no help. Ultimately, the Athenians would stand and fight. They were outnumbered nearly 5-1, but the Athenians amazingly won the battle, and Phidippides was dispatched to again run the 26-mile jaunt from Marathon to Athens to deliver the news of victory. He completed the journey, announced the victory, collapsed, and died. His journey was the birth of the modern race known as the marathon. If the walls of Bishop Heelan were ever under attack and word would need to be sent for help, the first name on the list of runners would be Bobby Soule. His running resume is unmatched in Heelan track and field history. 4-time state champion in cross country and track. The 1983 Sioux City Journal Male Athlete of the Year, became the first prep athlete to win both the 800 and 1600 meter in the same year. His running ability would take him to the Iowa State Cyclone track and field team. He would be a major cog on 5 Big 8 championship track teams, claiming conference titles in the 1500 and the 1000 meter race. In 2003, he was inducted into the Sioux City Relays Hall of Fame, and tonight we welcome Bobby Soule to the Bishop Heelan Hall of Pride.
Bobby Soule. Well, I'm not sure that he has been called Bobby very much since he left Sioux City, but he is known as Bobby here in Sioux City. Let me tell you a little bit about this character. When he first came to me in the spring of 1981, I was the head track coach. He was a tall, 6'3", gangly distance kid, who I noted was a distance kid with a sprinter's mentality. If you've ever been around sprinters, they complain about every workout. If it's over 200 meters, it's long distance. Bobby always complained about workouts, but he always did them and did them well. His sophomore year, he was above average, and he had to run in the shadows of another really great Crusader runner, Doug O'Brien. But he ran well enough to qualify for the state meet, barely. At the state meet, in the 1600 meters, the mile event, Doug O'Brien was our hope, and boy did he deliver, winning in a time of 4:17. Joe Malsam and I were both so excited that we stopped our watches when OB crossed the finish line. We totally forgot about Bobby, who finished dead last. When he came up, as he always did, to see us later, and he wanted to know his time, I guessed. I said 4:33. I think it was a year later when he finally found out what the time was, and he was pretty mad about it. He had a solid junior cross-country season. Then came December 19th, 1981, his junior year. Bobby got a little careless sledding down the infamous hill at Country Club Golf Course. He crashed, breaking 7 ribs, a punctured lung, and 2 smashed vertebrae. That should have ended any athletic career, but not Bobby. He was back in time for track. He quoted as saying later on, "The first 2 weeks were kind of painful, but after that, it got better." Indeed it did. He had a great spring, wrapping it up with the big school 1600-meter state title. He also tried the 800, which he had qualified for sometime after that, later that meet, and after a big lunch, he finished dead last. Now, in his senior year, he is the man to beat, but nobody could. That fall, he will win the big school cross-country title. And there was no sledding during this winter. Come spring, he was something to behold. He drove us crazy with his come-from-behind strategy, but it always seemed to work. At the Drake Relays that spring, Bobby got nipped by a guy by the name of Al Green, his arch rival from Ames High School. At the state meet, however, he reversed that by beating Green by 5 seconds. His time was 4:15.47, the fourth ever fastest time by an Iowa prep. In the 1800, he also qualified for, about an hour and a half later, and with no lunch break this time, he won with a time of 1:56.22, a school record. He also became the first big school prep in 21 years to win both the mile and the 800 meters. Bobby will then move on to Iowa State University, then in the Big 8 Conference. He will have a great career there also, with some great races at the Drake Relays. He might not remember this, but after one of those Drake wins, he came over to me and gave me this shirt. He was truly one of a kind. It was an honor and a true pleasure and privilege to coach him. I'll let Bobby explain this one, but for me, he will always be Bobby! Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Soule.
How do I follow that video? I mean, first of all, thank y'all so much for this honor. When Jay Wright called me 6 months ago, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I was living in North Carolina with my wife, and I was like, awesome, I'm going to get back to Sioux City now and see friends. And so thank you so much for this honor. I was seventh grader, 14 years old, and my parents sat me down with my older brother Bill and my older sister Mimi and my little sister Casey, and informed us we're leaving Pensacola, Florida, and we're moving to Sioux City, Iowa. Yeah, and I had to get the atlas out and find out where Iowa was, much less Sioux City. But looking back, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because I got to be a Crusader. In 8th grade, I'd been in Sioux City all but maybe a week, and I started Blessed Sacrament. And Joe Pitts came up to me and welcomed me with open arms. And Joe, you've been a lifelong friend. I love you. And I am confident that I would have never had the great 5 years in Sioux City that I had if you hadn't been the man that you are. So thank you. Ended up getting to Heelan, and I told my dad, I don't want to play football. And I had never run in my life. I'd never run more than 10 seconds in my life. And he was like, well, you don't play football, but then you're either going to go out for debate, or you're going to join the band, or you're going to run cross country. You're going to do something. So I was like, I'm going to go and run cross country. So I went out for the cross country team as a freshman, and I was not very good. It was 2 miles. It was torture, but I loved it. And I loved it, I think, because of my teammates. I just saw Tom Greer, and he was a senior, a guy I looked up to. He had so much fun. And the team was amazing, and then, to me it was amazing because of Coach Kent Hine. And Coach, I wasn't good as a freshman, but I got a little better as a sophomore and even a little bit better as a junior. And then we won that state championship our senior year, my senior year. So I cannot thank you enough. You were the perfect coach for me here at Heelan. Coach Bircher, I showed you on the video, but sophomore year, I got a little better in track, and I was really lucky to make it to the state meeting. He's right, I got dead last. I was so happy for Doug O'Brien, a guy I looked up to. He was a state champion at Crusader, and Malsum quit filming, and Bircher quit timing, but they lied to me and told me I ran like 4:33 in the mile in my sophomore year, and so I had to bounce in my step. I was like, all right, I'm going to go do something now as a junior. But I want to thank Doug O'Brien, because he was 2 years older than me. He won the state championship my sophomore year. I was lucky to be on the track. I had a great spot to watch him win it from 150 meters behind him. Perfect angle to watch him. It was my sophomore year. But it propelled me to believe that my junior and senior year that I had the right coach. And Coach Brendan Bircher, you didn't win one. You didn't win two, but you won 3 state championships in a row in the boys' high school mile. And you cemented your legacy as one of the best high school track coaches ever in the state of Iowa. I loved Heelan, and when I got to Iowa State, the values that I learned at Heelan were so important to me. The foundation that I had from Heelan and being a Crusader was very important. And it was kind of the same journey at Iowa State. I wasn't very good as a freshman. I got a little better as a sophomore. I was a little intimidated running with some of the best runners in the country in Ames. We had a really, really good team there. The 5 years that I was there, we won a bunch of Big 8 conference championships. We placed very high at NCAAs every year. And I'm really proud of the fact that my junior and senior year there, I could run with just about anybody in the country. And that foundation was built right here in Sioux City as a Crusader. If you were a student or a faculty member in the late 70s, so you 75 champions probably don't remember my mom, but if you were here in the late 70s and early 80s, you might remember my mom, Peggy Soule. She was a religion teacher at Bishop Heelan, and she wanted to be here. She'll be 85. She wasn't quite able to make it, but she really wanted to be here. She wanted me to tell all of y'all hello. She hikes, she's plays tennis, and she's 85 years old. She still snow skis. She's amazing, and she can still turn them. I mean, she can flat do it. But she said to tell you hello. My sophomore year at Iowa State, my parents ended up moving back down to Pensacola. So, my freshman year, I would come here for Christmas and summer break. But then I started going to Pensacola, so I kind of lost track with Sioux City. But it was always in my heart. I came back in 2003 when I was inducted into the Sioux City Relays Hall of Fame, something I was very proud of. But I also came back in 1993 for my 10-year reunion. And I had started dating a girl that was living in Chicago. I was in Savannah at the time. I was like, do I ask her to come back to my reunion? This might blow it, because I was really liking her. And I was like, I'm going to see what all my high school buddies think of her. And so I asked Kathy to come to my 10-year reunion in 1993. And I had 3 or 4 buddies come up to me and go, hey, dude, hurry up and propose to her before she gets to know you. All right? And I did. And it was the best thing I ever did in my life. And we have 4 amazing kids. I need to brag on a couple of them. We live in North Carolina. Kathy and I have lived down there for almost 30 years. 2 of our kids were state champions in North Carolina. And as a father, that's something I'm very proud of. They both went on to compete collegiately at the University of North Carolina. But all 4 of our kids are amazing. And I'm going to tell you, Kathy, if our 4 kids were here right now standing on the stage with me, they would all tell you that if there was a Hall of Fame for moms, you'd be a first ballot. My really good friend Mike Scotus, Notre Dame grad, sitting there going, wrap this thing up. Notre Dame's playing football. So I'm going to wrap it up with this. as you do, I believe things happen in threes because of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And when I first really got into running, we lived down on Jackson Street, about 1.5 miles from here on the 2500 block of Jackson Street. And my route would be to run up Jackson Street and come into the country club and circle around and then run home. So that's one. I used to be in a lot of pain when I would be circling around here on my run at the country club. Number two, as you saw in the video, I almost killed myself right out here sledding. And that happened Christmas of my junior year. Well, now this is 3, and this is a heck of a lot better than the first 2. I cannot thank the committee enough. I cannot thank every one of you Crusaders enough. The number of athletes, even during my 4 years at Heelan, that were just amazing athletes. And to be included in the Hall of Pride is just something that is an honor of a lifetime. So go Crusaders. Thank you.